Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Well, it may turn out that former Vice President Joe Biden wins the 2020 presidential election fair and square. However, the Democrats have behaved as if they are guilty. It could be a clean election, but it happens to look like it would if it were rigged. Those the words of LibertyNation.com international correspondent Onar Am in an article entitled, "It May Be Clean, but Why Does It Look So Dirty?" And Onar joins us now from his native Norway. Hello, Onar.
Hey there, Tim.
Good to have you back. So you write that Biden, the Democrats, and the legacy media have done everything in their power to label anyone who has worries about election integrity as conspiracy theorists and extremists who are trying to steal the election. Does this behavior prove the Democrats' guilt? Or does it just prove that anything but an immediate concession from the reviled 45th president is flat out unacceptable?
I think that if there was no indication of any voting problems, no issues with the election, then they would have been right to call this a conspiracy theory and so forth. But there's such obvious evidence of election problems and irregularities that they, when they simply dismiss it, it makes them look guilty.
Now, you also write, while disparaging the president for ignoring the experts, the Democrats chose to dismiss the same experts who said that voting in person was safe. There may have been an innocent reason for this, but it sure looks like they were preparing for massive fraud. How so?
Well, if there's actually no medical reasons for mail-in voting, then you have to ask, why did they push for it? I mean, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the face of the coronavirus expertise, he said that, well, if you can safely go to Walmart, you can also safely vote. Just be careful about mask usage and social distancing and hand hygiene, then it will be okay. And so they say, listen to the experts. That's what the Democrats keep on saying. Well, here's an expert, the foremost expert, who basically said mail-in voting is not necessary, but they still insisted on it. And then you have to ask why. The only rational explanation to that, if they're not concerned about health issues, is that it makes it easier to cheat. So it looks like they're setting it up so that they can hide massive voter or election fraud.
Now, you also write about shy Trump voters, saying that pollsters underestimated how many people lied about voting for Trump even more than in 2016, and that they needed to switch some 2.7 million votes to effect a Biden victory. So who were these shy Trump voters, and how do we know there were more than anticipated?
Well, let's first start with how we know that there were more than anticipated. In 2016, the polling companies conceded that there was a shy Trump vote that they weren't able to catch. And in this election, they adjusted for that. In other words, they had actually in the polls added on a certain percentage, which was supposed to compensate for the shy Trump vote. But on election day, when the exit polls were 5% off on average, roughly speaking. So how can you be 5% off, which is outside the error bars of the polls, unless there was a shy Trump vote that you weren't able to catch? So basically, we know for a fact that there was a shy Trump vote. And now we also know who they were, because now they're starting to tell us that the shy Trump vote was white, college-educated voters, Trump voters. They were the ones that were lying about voting for Trump, because they are in fields with other college-educated people. And it's in the universities that you have the most radicalized leftists. So if you are college educated and you work with other college educated Democrats, you're most likely to be surrounded by hateful people who want to destroy your life if you vote for Trump. If you're just an ordinary Trump supporter, you're probably living in a neighborhood with other people who think like yourself, and you're not so worried about it.
Before we let you go, I want to talk briefly about another piece, a compelling piece that you've written entitled, "What is Trumpism?" How do you define it? And can Trumpism last beyond his presidency?
I think that the president has actually defined in one sentence very simply what Trumpism is. It's America first. So if you only have one sentence to say it, that's it. But there's more to it than that. It is that he fights. Like when Donald Trump came on the scene in 2016, people said, "Oh, he's so rude," and the Trump supporters said, "Yes, but he fights." But he lies all the time. Yes, but he fights. But we can't trust him. Yes, but he fights. So people were so tired of spineless, backstabbing Republicans who told something when they were running for election, and the moment they got in office, they turned their back on their voters. Or if you just call them racist, they just give up immediately. Now, this is precisely the reason that people voted for him, that he's fighting. If this had been any other typical Republican, he would have said, "I concede." And that's precisely why they didn't want to. They don't want to vote for noble losers. And who can replace him? I mean, can it live on beyond that? It depends. If you have someone who just talks the talk, but they're not willing to fight, then Trump cannot be replaced. But if they show the willingness not to back down, that they're willing to fight, then there's a good chance that there can be life after Trump, so to speak.
Penetrating stuff as always. Onar Am, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.